Hey, it's Alvin Taveras, and we're here in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And today we're going to be talking about why rent by the room is a horrible idea. On our second day here in Puerto Rico, we had a chance to explore several different regions of Puerto Rico, including Inuque, which is the only rainforest in the national park system. We also had a chance to explore the cave systems of Puerto Rico, and there's over 2,000 caves here. We also saw where it's called the Seven Arches, and this is where they filmed a lot of famous movies like Pirates of the Caribbean and several others. And so we had a chance to go walk alongside those cliffs formations. And one of the things that the tour guide said to us really stood out. They said, one, a lot of people have died here, which it's not good to hear when you're on a tour guide. But the key reason is why the people have died. And that's going to be the reason why we're talking about what we're talking about today. The reason people have died is because they got too close to the edge of that cliffs and they don't judge the risk factor. So oftentimes they fall over. The other time that people have died during these trips is people tend to wander off on their own. They try to create their own path, create their own avenue, and that's where they get into danger, and in some cases actually die. So the question is, what does this have to do with rent by the room? Rent by the room is something that people are doing because they want to try to get more margins, but it's an inherent risk. And it's much riskier, in part because of the creativity. The other part is you need so much things to work out correctly. The third part is that you're essentially creating your own path. There aren't as developed systems, and each system depends wildly on the manager managing those systems, and you're dealing with so many more personality types. In short, your risk profile is so much higher. So guys, like anything, there's not a surefire thing. There's people who are going to be wildly successful going this method, but people make it seem like it's a lot easier and like the success is obvious. What you don't often hear is all of the failures, all the things that go wrong. One of the big reasons why I wouldn't go down this method myself is because I don't think cities want this in their communities. If you conform a 4-bedroom house to an 8-bedroom house, that's not what that city wants there. The city does not want 8 single-bedroom apartments in a residential setting. So if you think about like, hey, what does my city want? Does my city want this? Even if you can get away with it for a year, 2 years, you should know that you're putting yourself at risk to getting different violations, and you're just on that teeter-tottering. Especially if, your home has a certain well, septic, city water, they're expecting a certain amount of usage from these properties, even by the way it's designed, by the driveways with no cars parking on the grass, etc. Your cities don't want it, your neighbors don't want it, you're taking a big risk. And you think about it, does the future owner of this property want this? So again, these are all major risk factors in which I do not get excited about. So I pass hard on these rent by the room options. The second point is going to be your neighbors. Your neighbors don't want this. So your neighbors don't want to see trash piled up on the side of the homes. They don't want to see cars parked all around the neighborhood sidewalks and all over the place. They can also see what's happening in front of their house. They're seeing people coming and going, and it's not even like the same 8 people. Every month may be another group of people. So when you're dealing with the neighbors looking at the situation, it's just not desirable for them. Most people who are looking to move to a more residential setting, they don't want to be this chaoticness happening around them. So if you do this in a commercial setting with the city's approval, now you're in the path of getting a little bit closer. But what we're seeing is a lot of people are going down this path by going into residential neighborhoods where they don't want this. The third part's going to be just your tenants. Who are these people that want to spend $700-800 a month by just living in a room? Think about the quality of life. If you look at what people do to try to conform these 4-bedroom homes into 8-bedroom houses, they're often converting garages. So you have someone living in a garage. You're putting 2 extra rooms where the living room was. You're cutting into dining rooms or otherwise shared common spaces. So literally you would have a house where it's just a whole bunch of doors, a kitchen, and maybe like 2 or 3 bathrooms. That's not the best condition. A lot of investors like to take pride of ownership, and they like to try to envision where they would like to live in that property or not. The tenants are having to live in less than ideal situations. And again, if it works for a month, by year 2, they may not like it. They're going to have a much higher turn. The common expression is easy come, easy go, right? You're going to take lower qualified people, lower credit score, lower cash requirements. They're going to come in very easily. They're also going to leave very easily. So that all leads to unpredictability. The fourth part is looking at your turn costs, right? This is a cost for maintenance, repairs. Every time a tenant leaves, you might have to spruce things up all over again. And that becomes like almost like a part-time job onto itself, constantly changing and turning things over. You probably have to hire a cleaning person to go out there and clean the properties themselves. And it becomes an additional thing you don't have to do, especially when you're dealing with so many different personalities. Most people who do a short-term rentals, they're looking to just use this space and then they leave, right? They're not bringing a lot of their own stuff. They're not bringing their own equipment. They're not storing their own things in that property. When you do a rent by the room model, people are bringing all of their own items. And that could include things like bed bugs, rats, roaches, etc. They also bring a lot of their bad habits. So yeah, maybe you have a policy of people can't smoke inside the unit, but if someone smokes outside and just walks right in, that's all part of everyone else's problem as well. So when you have that many people all together, your maintenance and just repair work is going to be higher as well. Hey, for number 5, and this part of this is going with the city's regulations. They have their regulations. Well, it's likely that your insurance provider also has their own guidance, right? They want to insure a house that they approve of. So a lot of times when people are doing these rent by the room models, they're not disclosing things to their insurance provider. They're not saying, hey, this is a 8-bedroom apartment complex in a single family home. That's not often what's being disclosed. So if you're looking to do this rent by the room model, I would recommend at a minimum, let me call the insurance provider ahead of time, tell them what my plans are, and then listen for their feedback. A lot of them are not going to like it. The same goes for your bank as well. Before you buy a property like this to convert it to 8-bedroom house, call your bank, tell them, ask them, hey, do you guys like this? Do you guys want to give out mortgages, these 8 bedrooms in a single residence? And if they don't, right, now you're looking at potentially doing mortgage fraud, right, insurance fraud, and they can just drop you, or they can do a due on sale clause if you're using the property different. So again, no one reads the terms and conditions, and all of us kind of are looking to move to that gray area. And that gray area is exactly what we're talking about, that point of the edge of the cliff that you're venturing too far off. And it's like, hey, you're going too close to the risk factor. And if like that, or potentially dying because you wanted to venture off and do your own creative expression, like that doesn't make sense. So we're saying, hey, stay away from the edge, come closer to shore, be where everybody can see you, do what's tried and true. And that's how you protect your margin. And again, a lot of this is going to be, if you're looking to become a real estate investor, a lot of times you're looking at things from the long-term perspective. So don't worry so much about the short-term gains or increasing your risk profile. Keep it safe, keep it boring, and slowly build your wealth. Yeah, we talked about the pride of ownership part of it, which is important. How long are you going to keep enjoying owning this thing? How big are you going to grow? You're going to have 20 of these? You're going to have 40 of these? What's like the end goal? Walk me through it. Right. So a lot of us can't really define our threshold or how much we can handle. And a lot of us overestimate how much time and effort we're looking to put into some of these deals. And a lot of investors find themselves at a point where they just don't enjoy owning these things anymore. And that leads to the last point where, like, what's the exit strategy? What's the end goal? Like, what's happening? You're going to resell these properties. There aren't a line of investors looking for this. Again, cities, banks, insurance, nobody likes this. Nobody wants this. It becomes a lot more expensive to do it the right way. And that kills a lot of your profit margins, which is, again, why most investors are close to that edge. And we just recommend staying away from it. What are my final recommendations? Is you have to be extremely stubborn, you have to have a competitive advantage to want to go down this path. And not just something basic. I would also say you also should have a lot of liquid cash because a lot of these don't convert into long-term rentals very well. So your exit strategy, there is no backup plan. If you're buying all this furniture to house a rent by the room model property, there's no backup plan to that furniture. Either it works or it doesn't. Same is true when you conform the house, when you put all these walls up and everything. That's a fixed cost you're paying to reconvert it back to a 4-bedroom home. You're also now having to put in other hold costs. So again, the safety margins, there's no backup plans. And so you have to be stubborn. You have to have some sort of competitive advantages. You have to be willing to do things the right way. And then possibly this works. But for most investors, this is an absolutely horrible idea. And I strongly recommend not going down this path. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching the video all the way through the end. Now I want to hear from you. Are you currently considering doing a rent by the room option? Even though I just told you it's a horrible idea? Leave your comments below. Debate me. I'm okay with it. See you guys next time.